Professor. It is a great pleasure and true honor to welcome you at Vasilia Stefanика Carpathian National University. Welcome to Ukraine. My name is Julieju Lysannets and I'm the head of Department of International Cooperation at the Fund of the President of Ukraine for Education, Science and Sports, which has launched and organized this particular program, UK-Ukraine Visiting Professors Program, and we are honored to have you as a participant. I would like to ask you a couple of questions for our community, for our students, for our colleagues. And of course, the first question that I would like to ask is, what motivated you to come to Ukraine, especially during the war, and to participate in this program, Visiting Professors Program?
Well, funny enough, the war.
Indeed.
If you people cannot come to me, I will come to you.
Thank you so much. It sounds like a great expression of solidarity and support indeed, and expression of bravery, which we truly appreciate. Thank you.
Now, sort of to be more factual, I was exactly a year ago, I spent several weeks on some committee with my colleague Pavel Ettinghoff from MIT, and Pavel was talking to me about his activity for the Ukrainian mathematics and the International Committee for Mathematics in Ukraine, and I told him, look, if I can help, I'll be very glad. And then, so I received the email, and yes. So, absolutely.
It's full serendipity, as to say. That's great. And what are the expected outcomes of this visit? What do you expect to achieve? What future steps in collaboration are you planning? What do you envisage?
Well, what I hope is, first of all, to share knowledge.
Of course.
I think that sharing knowledge is not simply sharing factual knowledge, because after all, these things are in books, and these days are on the internet, and you can ask artificial intelligence to prepare it for you, probably in a much more jazzy way than I can do it. Even if my initials are AI, I cannot compete with artificial intelligence. But also the sort of judgment, what are the sort of things which are now exciting in the world? Because my experience in different countries was not that people don't know mathematics. And Ukraine has very proud mathematics tradition, and many great mathematicians worked here or were educated here, at least 2 Fields medalists and so on. But also what you need, and what our students, for example, have as God-given right, is to be able to tap into what's going on at the moment in the world.
Exactly.
The current excitements, to talk with people that are making the tomorrow. And rather than to continue in some intellectual cul-de-sac simply because people were doing it 20 years ago. And so what I want is to convey what I see in my very small, personal, subjective way as the new excitements.
Sure, and we totally agree that sharing this empirical and true knowledge with young leaders and young professionals is something that, particularly nowadays, Ukrainian youth is experiencing a kind of lack. This world-class exposure to international expertise, therefore it's of course invaluable experience and opportunity for them to have access to this empirical knowledge, not just from books or AI, but from experienced professor as yourself, as a world-class expert. So it's a great opportunity for them indeed. Building upon this question, I would like to continue with my next question is, probably you have already noticed any particular features about Ukrainian academia, Ukrainian students, Ukrainian faculty that might have some differences in terms of other countries, in terms of your experience globally. So does Ukrainian academia have any distinctive features in your opinion?
Overall, probably not. Ukraine has a very long tradition of world-class mathematics from different directions, both in Western Ukraine, there was a time when Lviv was one of the world centers of mathematics.
Sure.
But also Kharkiv and Kiev and people like that. I had the honor to know Leonid Tsiolkovsky from Kiev many years ago. And so, you know, there was always world-class work being done there. But, so from this point of view, I don't expect, it's not like if I am traveling with superior knowledge, I don't have this wild man, idiotic impression that I'm going to bring light to the natives. The natives have light without me.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, but the point is to bring the current things, because even before the war, for a very long time, also even in the days of Soviet Union, that I hardly remember, but I know that happened, the connections were very, very iffy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, things were, especially in less in pure mathematics, more in applied mathematics. You know, people didn't tap into the big developments. You know, pure mathematics was always incredibly strong, say, in the Soviet Union and also in Ukraine. Applied mathematics was less strong, and the little there was focused, say, on the space program and the hydrogen bomb program, and they couldn't talk with other people what they were doing. And this was true even before the war. And I think that this is doubly true now, because, for example, our students, it is usual now in Europe for a research student to go for 1 year to another university, to work in another group, to be exposed to different way of thinking. And this is incredibly important, because, you know, none of us as professors of mathematics, no matter how great our university, how great we are, and so on, we don't have the whole wisdom. There are different ways of doing things. It is important to expose young people to different approach to do science, to do scholarship. And now Ukraine hasn't got the chance of doing that. So that's why it is so important to bring it here.
Absolutely, yes, totally agree. Thank you so much. And speaking about pure mathematics and applied mathematics and STEM in general, I would like to ask you one more question. Because in Ukraine currently there are significant lower rates of enrollment of students to university to pursue STEM in general and mathematics in particular. And of course, this is the kind of problem that we need to address in a timely manner. So how would you motivate and encourage students actually to pursue STEM in general and mathematics in particular in their university life?
I think that these are the sort of challenges that different countries experience at different times. So some 30 years ago we had something similar in UK. Mm-hmm. Now we have too many candidates. Okay. Too many students that want to study mathematics and so on.
Changeable situation.
Part of it is, yes, changeable, and fashions, and hemlines go up, hemlines go down. Part of it is that young people don't realize sufficiently how, for example, subjects like mathematics. So you study mathematics. If you ask average person in the street why to study mathematics, they will say, well, probably to be a maths teacher, which is very important. But at the moment, you know, almost the entire technology depends on the sort of things we're teaching our students. And this is a great, great opening to huge number of jobs, not only in technology, even in banking and whatever.
Yeah. So many opportunities. Actually.
Yes, so actually mathematics graduates, and there is quite a lot of information about that, are earning on average more than engineering graduates.
Yeah, indeed. And I also would like to emphasize that the mission of our fund, the Fund of the President of Ukraine, is to support talented youth and gifted young students, top performers and high achievers in academic Olympiads, in academic subjects. So in this context, I would like to ask your opinion, what recommendation, what advice would you give to talented Ukrainian youth who want to pursue mathematics in particular and who want to thrive in STEM areas in the future?
Well, it is more an advice I'll have to the system than to students. Because students are young kids who are very incredibly bright, incredibly excited, and it is the same everywhere in the world. The question is how the system is addressing them. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I believe is important, and many people will say I'm wrong, but this is my opinion, is that in every country you have a very small number of students in areas like mathematics, not only mathematics, this is true across academia, who are incredibly bright. Now, when you take the little bit of bread you have and you smear it on all possible pieces of butter, mm-hmm. on all possible bits of bread you have, it is so thin that nobody can experience the taste. Students, in an ideal situation, and this is what we have in places like Cambridge or École Polytechnique or Harvard or Caltech and so on, ETH, best students learn the best from other best students. Absolutely. You have to bring the most talented students together, even if it means that they're only at one university. And there, let them talk with each other. Let them be treated as individuals, encouraged as individuals. You know, the way you are treating the best sports people. Sure. You know, nobody is arguing with the need that the best football players have to be in the best teams. Yeah. Nobody is saying, no. Every football team has to be average. But when it comes to intellectual achievements, no, everybody has to be the same. No, like you have incredibly talented footballers, you have incredibly talented young physicists or mathematicians or historians. Bring them together, bang the heads together, give them individual attention.
Absolutely, and in this atmosphere of competitiveness, they will ultimately thrive, yes. Of course, yes. Totally agree. Thank you so much for your time. It is a great pleasure to welcome you, and we wish you a lovely rest of your stay and productive and effective results of this particular stay. And of course, we look forward to welcoming you again in the future in Ivano-Frankivsk and in other Ukrainian cities. And we wish you all the best, and we are truly grateful for your support and cooperation. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.